So I'm assuming that many of you who are subscribed to me have absolutely no clue what MSM is, unless you've watched my DLC and microtransactions video. Well, here's the thing. Ever since autumn, I've been completely obsessed with this game again, like even more so than when I discovered it back in late 2013. So as a result of this obsession, I came to satisfy it with watching YouTube videos from the community, and have discovered some really good channels as a result. Most of them are smaller channels because of how small the niche one mobile game is, but as a result, I've discovered just how dedicated and large this fanbase actually is. And the largest channel of this fanbase is MSM Gamer, who made a video about his top 10 favorite songs in the franchise. I really liked the video, but his opinions weren't mine, so they are wrong. So I wanted to throw my hat in the ring with the same subject. So how about we explain the rules, starting with all songs and loading screens for My Singing Monsters and its prequel game Dawn of Fire will count. I also decided to include Plant and Cold Island from the cancelled spin-off game Furcorn's Jelly Dream since they sound amazing. The final rule, however, is an obvious one. That one being that this is my opinion, and if you have a different opinion than me, then that's okay. In fact, if your opinion is different from mine, then I would heavily recommend you share your thoughts in the comments section, as I am actually very curious about what all you guys have to say. So without further ado, let's get into my ranking of every song in MSM. The loading screen of Dawn of Fire sounds the least like a song that belongs in the series, which is why it earns a place at the bottom of this list. I don't know who thought it would be a good idea to make the loading screen of this game the first song you hear when you enter the game so boring. Like, the loading screen of the original clearly has monsters from the game in it. In this one, you can only really make guesses like Drumpler, Ruditoot, Sousa, and Bogart. Who knows, maybe they'll change it eventually. Now that we've made it past 25, we're in the territory of songs I like, so if I have anything negative to say, then just remember that I still enjoy listening to them. The first of these songs is Air Island. Now, I think this is going to be an unpopular opinion to have it so low on the list, but let me explain the problems I have with it. First off, I think the developers trapped themselves into a corner here. Out of all the 15 natural monsters, 6 of them are drum-based, which I would be fine with, but I don't think they work too well together. I also think that the end of the song suffers from having too few monsters in it. Now, the Wordos counteract this problem a bit, but I don't think it worked as well as I wanted it to. And speaking of the Wordos, the male one sounds god-awful, and is the only monster on the island I actively dislike. The other one being Rare Bubox, who I would be fine with, but is way too loud, as opposed to the fantastic-sounding Yostrich being way too quiet. Apart from that, though, I really do like everything else. My favorites on this island being Kongal, Rero, Wibox, who is way underutilized, and the female Wordo. Ironic how I complained about the drums, yet 3 of my favorites provide that. Okay, now we're on the part of a list from songs I thought were average or decent to be part of a list where I think every song is amazing, starting with the MSM loading screen, which unlike the Dawn of Fire one, actually sounds like something that would come from the franchise. And I love how you can obviously tell what all monster sounds are. You got Mammoth, Octopus, Furcorn, Bogart, Pummel, Clamble, T-Rox, and Ghast. In fact, my only criticism is that there are too few monsters. I have to note, though, that this song was made back when the only two islands in the song were Plant and Cold Island, so that's probably why only Plant Island was prominently featured, which is why it's quite the bummer that the song hasn't been updated at all, since it has so much more it can do. To be fair, though, monsters that would appear on later, like Rakulele and Hula, would eventually fill the gaps of the song that didn't previously have a monster to represent them. So, that's really cool. Personally, I think Party Island is overhated, yet at the same time I do have problems with it. 1. The tempo is too slow. It makes the song feel way longer than it actually is. 2. Because of this island, I'll never get my Space Island Scups, Cloud Island Shrub, and my precious Cave Island Courser. 3. I personally don't care as much for happy songs than other moods. As for positives, I love Ma and Stog. The Zigrab and T-Rox combo is fantastic, and Emphasis Island probably has the best Candelarva sound, and while I do think the other monsters are good too, I don't really think they're standouts, which honestly doesn't bug me. The best part though is easily the ending. It is perfect and makes all the build-up completely worth it. Space Island takes space song tropes and applies them to monsters, which really ended up working out, as I deeply enjoy this song, even if I don't really come back to it as often as the others. Personally, I think this song just gets better with time, which is why I think with a couple of updates it'll be higher on the list. But I feel that this song is the only one that still needs to be finished, while the other unfinished islands never feel like that. My final criticism, however, is that I don't particularly care for space songs as much as other types of songs, and this song does hardly anything to innovate with the genre. As for positives, I love the final part. It really needs more monsters. And speaking of those, my favorite ones here are Stog, Cybop, Sponge, and Kongle. I really love how Dawn of Fire innovates Cybop by making him talk this time instead of saying gibberish. Okay, Air Island did it too, but I personally prefer it here. So originally, I was going to have Faerie Island at the number 22 spot, but then I remixed it, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more, so I'll be adding more positive parts to this part of the script, because I list off mostly negatives here. Those being that the parts of Whimsies drag on quite a lot in my eyes. The Whimsies themselves, though, probably would have sounded a lot better as trumpets than a choir. I also hate how Ziggurat can make electronic cymbal sounds. Like, how the actual hell does it do that? Finally, though, I don't think Platy fits the song as well as the developers thought it did. Other than that, though, this is a really delightful happy sound. Happy song. God damn it. And I have a lot of positives for it. Noggin making kick sounds is probably the most beautiful thing I've ever heard, and I love the sounds of Flutefly, Kanya, Noggin, Squat, Hippity Hop, and Bridget. Bridget especially has a fantastic vibraphone type of sound, and I hope we get more monsters like that in the future, since it's one of my favorite instrument types. So, I was just gonna complain about the dipsters for this part, but I decided that I'd complain about something else. But to do this, I had to first find out what about the dipsters I don't like on this island, and I found out that it was actually because monsters like Webbox, rare Webbox, and dipsters damage the best part of Earth Island for me, despite the sounds not even being bad. And that would be its simplicity. While the other natural islands benefit from getting more monsters, in my opinion, I believe that Earth Island is the only island where that isn't the case, which sucks, because it used to honestly be one of my absolute favorites. As for other criticisms, though, I think the song is too short, but you know I like a song when I complain about the length being too short. The best parts of this island, though, like I mentioned, come pretty much exclusively from the natural monsters this time around, which I found to be a surprise. The best of which being Reedling, which is probably the most popular opinion I'll ever state on this channel. I also love Potbelly, Mammoth, Dandydoo, Furcorn, Drumpler, Clamble, and Corster. I'd actually say that this is the best island in the game when it comes to conveying tone. That tone, of course, being fear, which it does while being both threatening and endlessly charming. Earth Island is a really good song, even if I've started to like it less over time. Out of all of the injustices in this world, the cancellation of a very promising game called Furcorn's Jelly Dreams is very high up there. Well, at least we got Jammer Splash. Oh wait, its real title is Fan Service. But the difference between Jammer Splash and FJD, as I will now call it, is that FJD looked like it could have been able to stand out on its own without the fan service cheat sheet, and the evidence of that can be found in the soundtrack, because while I like the music in Jammer Splash, I absolutely love the music in FJD, and the first example of that I'll be showing is Plant Island, which is pretty good at the start, but then turns into a masterpiece of the best octopus solo we'll probably ever get. When it comes to criticisms, though, Furcorn sounds auto-tuned. It's really weird to listen to. Triba Island takes every non-fire natural and puts them all in a song, and while I don't like the island gameplay-wise since I don't have friends, I do think that it's one of the strongest song-wise. I have one complaint, however, that complaint being that the whole tribal thing really isn't my favorite genre, and I swear to God that'll be the last time I say that. Even with that small barrier for me, though, I still adore this song. I love how it took risks with monsters like Kongol, Bogart, Corster, and Entbrat, and while I find the risk of Kongol to be a little too jarring, I can still appreciate what they did. My favorite monster on this island would either be Bogart, Clamble, or Riff. They all sound great. But back on the topic of risks, I really can't appreciate how this island introduced Kanya, who is still one of the best monsters in the game. Sugarbush Island is probably one of the biggest jams in the series, with the main chorus being so fantastic, but it makes the rest of the song seem small in comparison. The only criticism I even have of this island is that I personally didn't like it as much as the other songs. I think it's really charming how Sugarbuck speaks gibberish instead of English, which would usually be a problem for me, but it just works so well here. I also love touches like how Sugar Beats have mushroom drums. The song just works so surprisingly well considering how weird of an idea Sugarbush was to begin with, and it just works. I also want to mention that the song is a remix of an already existing song, but I couldn't really care less about because it doesn't have weird looking monsters in it. Ethereal Island used to be my favorite, but as you can tell, it isn't anymore. I think the main reason I loved it as much as I did was because of the excellent monster design present. Design-wise, I consider these guys to be the Wublins before the Wublins. They're just that creative. But now that I've been listening to this song for years now, I see it for what it is. A really freaking good song. In terms of criticism, I'd say that Webbox and the Dipsters are underutilized, but other than that, there are no clear problems with the song. It just didn't really stand out to me the same way that other songs did. But to be positive for a change, I love Fun Prey, and it is easily in my top 5 favorites. I also love Gast Rebrew Nublub's Socks, especially as a huge saxophone fan, Rakulele, Bellowfish, and Dragon. This song also contains the best castle bass without a doubt. I didn't really know how to think of Fire Oasis when I first heard it. I liked it, but something about it felt off to me. Thankfully, with time, I started to like it a lot more. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have problems with it, but I still really enjoy listening to this song. However, I do have problems with it, those being that the parts with Fangler and Waddle go on for twice as long as I feel like they should, and that the sound used for Wink is actually horrible. But other than that, this is one of the best songs of the game. Mammoth gives out a simplistic but fantastic beat that Quibble, Wallaby, Kongle, and Snester pick up and add depth to. Tweedle is really nice here, and Glowl gives out a sound I was not expecting to see from it. Konya's sound is fantastic, even if Wink shits all over it, and every other part of the song is just really good. Cloud Island used to be in my top 5. Then it went down to my top 10 when more songs are released. Now that Einsasaur has came, it is now at 13. I love Terrain. I think its simplicity works, but the simplicity comes across as laziness of Einsasaur, because of what it could have been. And his sound doesn't work on Cloud Island. Put him on Cave Island. Other than that, though, I only really have one criticism, which is that one of the parts feels like it should have Riedling in it, but it isn't playing at that part for some reason. And speaking of Riedling, however, he has easily got the best sound in the island. I also really like Tweedle, Dandydoo, Waddle, Ziggurat, Curly, Shellbeat, and Entbret. They all work in this one. I'd personally say that this song does a perfect job at being relaxing, while still having monsters like Shellbeat that can enhance the fun angle of the song. I am legitimately surprised I put Water Island so high up. I mean, it isn't anything special, and the style isn't really for me. Until Wobox and the Dipsters came out. Just like how more additions can make me enjoy an island less, more additions can have me enjoy one more. Water Island does this well, but if I had to acknowledge anything else that I liked, I'd say that the other standouts are Dandydoo, Flog, Shellbeat, and Blabbit. The true MVPs, though, are easily Wobox and the Dipsters. Holy shit, their sounds are perfect. So back when Psychic Island was Fire Frontier, I hated it, and I thought it was the only bad song of the franchise, and I still stand by that opinion. But what I was not expecting was the psychic element to show up and make this island one of my favorites. Now, I still do have problems with it. The ending part goes on for twice as long as I feel it should, and the sounds used for Kanya and Fangler are pretty bad, but other than that, I think every aspect of the song succeeds. Also, it's a crime that we didn't get more Flower in the song, as this sound is one of the best. But in speaking of things I love, I'd say that my favorite aspect of the song, aside from Flower and the Psychics, is easily how simplistic it is. Out of all the songs that came out after Plant and Cold Island, I'd say that this and two other songs that'll come later in the list are the closest we'll ever get to Plant Island 2.0, and that's the best praise I could possibly give it. Wait, you'd finally continue the list? Well, before I do that, I want to tell you that from January 27th all the way to February 20th, I will be releasing one of my MSM remixes daily. These will be on my second channel, and they took forever to make, so I hope you check them out after this video, since that's likely when my first remix will be up. Anyway, back to the parts of the list that don't have a 0.5 in them. Now we're finally on the top 10, also known as the only part of the list people actually give a shit about. And to start off the true list is the magnificent Wublin Island. I like to consider Wublin Island to be the better Ethereal Island. Not because they share a similar tone, they actually couldn't be more different in that regard, but because they both take the idea of having really weird and sometimes creepy designs and rolling with it. Personally, I feel like tonally this song places in my top 3. This song is able to convey the feelings that nothing here feels right, and that all the monsters here are in pain. That may be a really weirdly specific way to explain it, but that's just how it feels for me. In terms of criticism, I don't really have any. I feel like some sounds are really simplistic, like Scargo, but other than that, I really like everything in the song. One of the things that I really liked being the ridiculously wacky design, supported with great sounds. My favorite of which being Poak, Thwok, Screamoo, Giger, and Wubbox, whose animation is glitched for absolutely no reason. I remember when Firehaven came out and how hyped I was to see fire monsters on the base game. When the island eventually came out, it became my favorite, and I would constantly remix it. I'd play the song so often that after a while I'd kinda get sick of it. Thankfully, I no longer am sick of it. The song is amazing, but sadly enough, I no longer am as infatuated with the song as I used to be. Criticism-wise, I don't dislike anything. You really don't need to change a single aspect of this song, which is why it reminds me of Plant Island in a lot of ways. The best monster, in my opinion, is Flugel and Dandidoo, but I also really like Potbelly, Flowa, Stog, and Repetillo. Even the monsters I didn't mention I still love. For example, Train Sound is very simple, as it always is, but this island really wouldn't be the same without him. Out of all of the islands, I'd say Starhenge sounds the most professional. Most people like to point to the Wublins as the most unique monsters in the game, but I like to point to the Celestials. They're all amazing and do their parts well. I especially like how ambitious Skardar's sound is. It's far more complex than anything we'd expect to see from the developers. If I were to pick a favorite though, it would have to be Galvana. And no, it's not because we share the same birth month. I was born July 1st if you're wondering. Ludwig also sounds amazing though, and he's my second favorite. The piano is wonderfully dark. And who can forget about all the other fantastic sounds, such as Hornicale, Glacier, Blasum, Syncopite, Vamp, Tort, and Plixie. Everyone here has a significant role in the song, making it not just good from a gameplay perspective, but also makes it super satisfying from a song perspective. God, this song is truly incredible. Plant Island is a classic, and it's very difficult to explain with words why I like it, but I'll try. This was back when you could tell that this is the first song in the game. All these sounds were relatively simplistic while also being very charming. The more this island would update, I feel not just Plant Island, but the franchise as a whole would get better. So many more monsters have been added to this island, and not once has it gotten worse. Ghast, Pumpkleton, and Wubbox, Rare Wubbox, Sugarbush, Gajube, and the Wordos all make Plant Island one of the most complete songs in the series. And I'm not even bashing on the naturals. I pretty much love all of them. Mammoth, Toejammer, Furcorn, Drumpler, Bogart, Clambo, T-Rox, and Aunt Brett are some of the best on this island, and give it a clear identity. Also, remember how I said Party Island had one of the best endings I've ever heard? Well, the ending of Plant Island is actually one of the best endings I've ever heard. God, I love everything about it. The Wordos, Wubbox, Aunt Brett, and Sugarbush truly give it their all in this finale. Plant Island is a song that I've been hearing for years now, and I have never gotten sick of it. And that's truly something special. I'm pretty sure one of the least controversial opinions I'll ever have is that the continent is without a shadow of a doubt one of the most ambitious islands of the game. This is like if you took Triba Island and how it takes all the natural monsters, but this time you get an entirely new fire elemental. Now, because of the introduction of the fire element and how many fire monsters exist, that means that this island, as well as all the other Dawn of Fire islands, have yet to be finished. Regardless, it never feels like that. Okay, it kind of does now that they've added a completely new section of the song because it fears that too much will be going on in the island. But when that growing pain is over, there's no way this won't be in my top 5. I truly have no issues with the song. Despite having 9 or 10 different sections, it never feels like a clusterfuck, which is why the new section is at the end, to prevent that from happening. Even answering the question of which one's my favorite is too difficult, because of how frickin' many of them there are. If I had to pick a favorite though, it would either be Flugel, Ruditoot, or Corster. My only problem with Gold Island is that the first part, aka the least interesting part, is half of a song. Other than that, Gold Island is perfect. It transitions from happy to sad, all the way to the type of shit you expect from a film score. So many memorable sounds are on this island. Quibble, which sounds fantastic but turns absolutely flawless in the middle, as well as Tweedle, who gives out a very dramatic and powerful sound. There's also the wonderfully unique Digi, who gives out a sound we never heard from him. But without a doubt, the best monster here, or maybe ever, is Smoochel, who is a massive step up from Air Island, and god, that finale is amazing. Nitpick-wise, I'd say that Bobox's sound is extraordinarily underwhelming, given how consistently good he tends to be, and the song is quite short, but other than that, the song is so good that if they were to use it for the end credits, I'd probably cry. And yes, I did steal that joke from MSM Pokegamer's video. Screaming Island, Cave Island, is just so good. You probably remember what I had to say about the tone of Wublin Island. Well, take that and multiply it by 1,000. In my books, Cave Island wins the Best Tone Award because of just how relentless they are in capturing it. The monsters put on center here are obviously Glowl and Yelmut, but Kanya, Mammoth, Quibble, Barb, Flugel, Fumpies, Bogart, Shellbeat, and Riff are all complimentary sounds so fantastic that you could probably ask anyone what their favorite is, and very likely the answer will be different each time. My favorite of which being the brilliant sound used for Flugel. But honestly, the true champion here is my Sonorous, who has a sound so perfect that I find myself imitating it in the shower in multiple occasions. Yes, I sing in the shower. What are you gonna do about it? So if you didn't already know, it's actually very difficult to write about something you have no qualms with, as opposed to something you hate with a burning passion, which is why it took me hours of overcoming writer's block to finish my Cave Island paragraph. And now that I've got 3 more left, I'm scared that it'll take me the same amount of time to write about them again, because good fucking lord is Celestial Island one of my favorite songs ever. Out of all the songs in MSM, Celestial Island is the most simple in terms of structure and tone, and yet I don't think of it as a bad thing, which is why I consider this island to be my favorite Plant Island 2.0. No matter how many of you will disagree with that, something about this song is just so catchy, and I don't dislike a single monster, mainly because they're just baby versions of the Celestials, which I already like all of. My favorite of which being the exact same ones as last time, Ludwig and Galvana. Who knew that a cancelled spin-off game would have some of the best music I've ever heard? FJD Cold Island is simply incredible. The only problems I even have with it are that there are too few monsters, and the song is pretty short, but other than that, there's no other way of explaining how you can achieve a perfect song. I'll try, however, and the way I'll do this is by explaining one of the best monster sounds ever. And that would be Quibble. I hear a lot of people call this song depressing, which is what I would call it without Quibble. With him, however, I find the song to be simply beautiful. It's like one of those times where you're all alone, but you're not in pain, not lonely, simply content. And no matter how hilariously cheesy that sounds, it's the best way I can get across how this sounds to me. Also, why the fuck did they cancel this game? I guess I'll put that in my long list of video ideas. So I got quite a lot of reasons why I made this video. First off, because it's pretty easy to edit. Second off, because I thought it would be fun. Third off, because I watched MSM Pokegamer's video on the same topic and thought I could do it too. And finally, because one of my friends kept on asking me what my favorite island is, and I'm pretty sure it's obvious given the footage that Cold Island is exactly that. This isn't just one of my favorite songs in MSM, but it's one of my favorite songs in general. Most monsters on this island have sounds I consider to either be my favorite or second favorite in the whole franchise. This island has my favorite Tweedle, Toejammer, Mammoth, Ma, Fumpies, Single Element Ethereal, Wobox, and Wordoduo, who is my personal favorite on this island. It also has my second favorite Dandidu, Bogart, Digi, and Rare Wobox. There are not many instances where I can find myself a perfect song, but I'd like to say that Cold Island is exactly that. Hell, I like the song so much that I've basically remembered all the lyrics. I am a nerd. Holy shit, that was the longest essay I've ever written in my life, reaching nearly 5,000 words long. So I'm so glad that even though I wasn't really able to practice editing, but I was still able to practice writing. So I hope you enjoyed this video ranking some songs from a little-known mobile game. If you did or did not, then please make sure to tell me in the comments section. And if you agree or disagree with me, then also make sure to write that down to me as well. Also, if you have any criticism towards this channel or my video, well then please tell me in the comments, as I love to improve my videos. But as always, make sure to have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time when I finally finish editing that other stupid video I'm working on instead of doing something with my life. See ya, peasants.